Hey guys, Brother John with you once again from Elisha Power Ministries. I have another video, and this one hits close to home for me, and I wanted to look at a couple of videos on discrimination that has been confirmed multiple times over in Ukraine, discrimination against people of color who are also trying to flee the violence. There are reports that these individuals, Indians and Africans, have been pushed off of trains and dogs led on trains in their place. There are reports that they've been yelled at, Ukrainians only. And when asked why, they've been given horrible explanations. Horrible by saying, white people only. This one, it's ridiculous. This is CNN is reporting it now, MSNBC, multiple other outlets. I believe MSNBC was the first major news network to report on this, and it's just sad. If you're Ukrainian and your town, city is being bombed and you're trying to flee, and you have the Ukrainian president asking for help from the international community, which he should be doing, by the way. No criticism of him, but the hypocrisy. You want people to help you get to freedom, but those individuals who've been living amongst you for years, mainly these Africans and Indians, are over there going to school because it's a lot cheaper in Ukraine to get a degree of higher learning, so they're there. My understanding, there's 16,000 at least Africans in Ukraine, African students. They've been there this whole time. And now, during a crisis, they're discriminated against. Not too surprising to me, because I've heard this about Eastern Ukraine in general when it comes to discrimination. And it's just sad. So I have this video pulled up. I have not seen all this. I did see, to be perfectly transparent, I did see like the first couple of seconds of this video. It's only 2 minutes and 42 seconds, and then I stopped it and I said, well, let me just come on and put it on my channel, and let's just look at it, see what's going on.
The Ukrainians were let in, and the foreigners, they were segregated to one side, regardless of racism and something. It was like all the Indians, most of the people were Indians, Africans, some English people were there. I encountered 2 Scotsmen there, and then it was like foreigner and Ukrainians. They were treated differently.
Mais d'une façon où nous sommes restés sous le poids pendant des heures, de 20h ou de 21h pour d'autres, jusqu'à 6h. Jusqu'à 6h. Mais il y a des bus qui passaient, qui transportaient les Ukrainiens jusqu'à la frontière. Nous, on était là, arrivés encore à la frontière. Pour qu'on nous mette le cachet de sortie, nous avons passé encore plusieurs heures. Les Ukrainiens ont le droit d'emprunter les bus.
Wait a minute. What? Wait a minute. She said the Africans and or people of color had to wait 10 hours in the freezing cold, and when it came time to use the buses, the people of color had to walk while the Ukrainians were allowed to use the buses.
mais nous, on marche à pied. Pour nous, on était sur pied.
Yeah.
All the time that Ukrainian can pass every checkpoint, every passage, every door easily, but we always wait like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours.
Now he's Turkish.
There was some discrimination and racism, I think. Like, I think not all Ukrainians are racist or something, but at the border guys, border soldiers, border police, there was like super racist, I think. And all the black people, Arabic people especially, I saw, they beat them, they tore their gun to them at night. It was snowing. Like, just people wanted to vote. They stopped us like after 3 hours. They didn't let us vote, and people get like aggressive, and they just use the force too, you know. And after that, every border, every checkpoint, like never treated like a human.
This Turkish national in Ukraine, who's also trying to flee, said he saw the racism. And I know you guys are smart enough to understand what he said. I know that it's just, I have to repeat things sometimes so that I can get rid of my own anger. So forgive me. I know you guys are smart. You understood what he said, but I have to repeat it for myself. So he saw these Africans and people of color being beaten just because they're trying to get across the border to freedom. Beaten, and he said they pulled guns on them. This makes me feel very, very awkward. It really does. If I'm being completely transparent and honest, it makes me feel awkward about these. It's not all Ukrainians. I get that. I know that. But when you see a situation like this, people being killed in Ukraine indiscriminately, and those who were blessed enough to get to the border or close to it are being discriminated against by those who fled themselves. Wow. 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 I had not seen this video. Not entirely. Like I said, I saw first couple of seconds of it, but that was just... I'm looking off to the right here because I see some other videos in the margin that you can't see, because as a result of me finding this one, there are others, as you know how YouTube works with the algorithms. But so I'm going to click on another video similar to this, just trying to figure out which one. I don't want it to be too long because I see a couple of them that it's terrible. Wow. I'll choose this one.
African and Indian students stuck in Ukraine are accusing officials of discriminating against them and pushing them back from getting to the border. Videos have been posted on social media said to show black people being prevented from boarding a train.
Wow.
And left stranded at a railway
He's
station
pushing her.
in Lviv as Ukrainians were allowed on.
The white girls allowed.
Turned back from the border and were even being shot at.
Shot at? Oh, you heard it for yourself.
Like this video, Indian students claim Ukrainian guards on the Polish border beat them up and didn't allow them to cross. Tens of thousands of international students have been stuck in Ukraine since the war started. On Skype with us now from Warsaw is Monica Matos, a human rights activist working for the NGO Grupa Granica. Monica, thank you for your time. In your opinion, what's happening here? Why would...
And just to clarify, in full transparency, I have not seen this video at all. I know nothing about this video other than what you are watching with me.
There's a lot of international students in Ukraine, as I've learned. Why the discrimination against them?
We think it's really just honestly on first of all, I think it's on both sides. So
Oh, here we
the
go.
The Ukrainian border guards are preventing people from passing through, and then the Polish border guards are not better. In this case, they are also actually stopping people and not letting them in. We don't know why exactly. I mean, I think it's just a question of not having Ukrainian passport.
Lies.
We hear about students from African countries, from India, from many other Asian countries. We also hear about people from countries that, the people who actually were trying to flee the war in other countries, so Yemen and Syria.
Mm-hmm.
There's also people, right now we are solving the case of a Yemeni boy who is stuck at the border in Medica, who is trying to pass through, and there has been huge...
I'm sorry, is it me, or does the story she's telling about these other areas and other countries, what does any of that have to do with what's going on the Russia and Ukraine border? Am I misreading her? I mean, what is she talking about? He asked her a direct question, did he not? The direct question was about the Ukraine, this Ukrainian crisis. She's saying something about both sides. She thinks it's about a passport. Passports. So let's follow her logic. If it's just about passports, how come all the people of color were stopped? They had passports to get into Ukraine, but the passports are not good to get out of Ukraine. Not buying it. I'm sorry.
Issues and problems to let him actually enter Poland. I don't know if it's solved yet right now because we are just been on the phone about this case.
Right.
And so I don't know what's exactly the reason. I think it's really just an issue of not having Ukrainian passport. And I just want to add that, the racism from at least Polish government and Polish authorities has been widely known already. We criticized the fact that, the border patrol is actually still operating on the northern Polish-Belarusian border, and they are still not letting people in and apply for asylum. Whereas we are rightly so allowing Ukrainians fleeing war, enter EU without any issues, without any problems. This is bluntly unfair, I think.
Do you know if any government, any officials from either side are actually acknowledging there's an issue there, or to them are they just viewing it as, well, it's a chaotic situation, we're suddenly in a war situation and there's so many people flooding the borders?
I cannot speak for Ukrainian border guards, but the Polish border patrol, yesterday they issued a very short statement on Twitter, I think in reaction to all of those videos and news on social media, saying that we need to stop fake news because it's actually fake and they are allowing everybody in. Well, I mean, maybe it is true, maybe they are allowing everybody in, but it actually takes quite much longer time for people without Ukrainian passports to cross the border, and quite often they are moved back to the end of the queue.
Monica, thank you so much for your time. Another part of this story which we must address, and we thank you for your expertise.
Guys, should I even say anything? Should I say anything at all? Or should I just leave it alone? Now, she did say, because she's in Warsaw, Poland, she did say that the discrimination in Poland is real. But now she's talking about some passports. First of all, it has nothing to do with passports. What's her name? Gropa? Has nothing to do with passports. Okay. And you know that. Okay. All right. Now, you know what? I didn't like the way that interview went. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick another video as well. Okay, I'm just going to pick one. Let's see. I'll pick this one.
The United Nations reports more than 800,000 people have fled Ukraine since Russia attacked last week, but many foreign nationals trying to escape.
Now, this is as of March 2nd. This is Democracy Now! See what they have to say.
Have described racist discrimination and abuse, saying they were turned away from buses and at the border while Ukrainians were welcomed with open arms. India's government...
And that's a point. That's a good point that I didn't mention before. You saw the Ukrainian police officers push back the black young woman. It said girl, that's why I'm saying girl. So I mean no disrespect. The black young woman, and let on the white young woman. And the black girl says, oh, but she's white though, she gets to get up. That had nothing to do with the passport. They were still in Ukraine. That had nothing to do with the passport at all. There's a bus in Ukraine picking up Ukrainians and non-Ukrainians, people who are living there peacefully, to get to the border. Had nothing to do with the passport. Let's go.
Dispatch ministers to Ukraine's border with Poland after people from India seeking to cross from Ukraine to Poland reported they were told to go to Romania instead. Citizens of several African countries report they were also pushed back from Poland because they are black. Some 16,000 African students are thought to have been studying in Ukraine. On Tuesday, Ukraine's foreign minister, Dmytro Kuleba, tweeted Russia's invasion had, quote, affected Ukrainians and non-citizens in many devastating ways, and said, quote, Africans seeking evacuation are our friends and need to have equal opportunities to return to their home countries safely. Several African governments also condemned the racism Africans in Ukraine faced while trying to escape, with the African Union calling the treatment a breach of international law. On Tuesday, Democracy Now! Reached 25-year-old Nigerian student Somto Ora after he had reached Warsaw, Poland. He described the discriminatory treatment he and other African students faced as they tried to flee, starting at the train station in Ukraine's capital, Kiev.
The first discrimination started in Kiev, which is the capital, at the train station.
In Kiev.
I was trying to enter and they were telling us it's only women and children. Then they were only picking white men and children. So when the first train left, the second one came and they said the same thing. We now asked them, what do you mean by women and children? Because we are not seeing you taking any black women here. If you meant white men and children, at least you are being honest. But telling us women and children and not taking African women along is totally rubbish. So we started shouting and started telling them, nobody is going to live here if they don't stick to their words. So they asked us where are the African women. We started showing them the African women and children, and they were able to board. So another train that is going to Poland came in. I jumped in with other two Africans. I was in the cabin, and they called police on us. The police came and told us to get out of the train. They dragged us out and told us if this train going to Poland is specifically for Ukrainians only. So we have to wait for another train that was in the night. That train came in, they told us the train is not going to Lviv, which is the city that has border with Poland. So we copied the train number and sent it to my friend. I copied it, my friend also copied it and sent it to his girlfriend, who is a Ukrainian, and the girlfriend told him that this train is going to Lviv. Don't listen to them, jump in. The train was about to leave, we jumped in. They were already trying to close the door. We told them, you either open the door or you push us on the way. So they have no other option than to open the door. So we went in the way. We are the only Africans in the train. When we got to Lviv, the whole train going.
Try not to get incensed
here. They told us it's only Ukrainians, women and children only, and they usually pick more white people than black people. We started shouting again. So when the second train came, we have to push the whole white African women and children to the front so that they were able to take them. Then we had no other option than to look for a taxi that would take us to the border. Then we got to a barricade that is 30 minutes away to the border. And the barricade told us that the soldiers there, with the police there, separated us. They said foreigners go this side, the Ukrainians go the other side. So time was going. I asked some people there, how long have you been here? One said 3 days, the other one said 2 days. So like, no,
days.
I cannot endure this. I have to find a way. So in the morning, which is the next day, they started protesting and telling them they have to let us go, that this is rubbish. They take in like 100 Ukrainians and then taking like 2 Africans. It doesn't make sense because there are more Africans there than Ukrainians at the border. So we started pushing.
At the time.
Cocked their guns and pointed their gun.
He means at the time there were more Africans there than Ukrainians, but they were taking mainly the Ukrainians and only 2 Africans. Wow.
And told us that they're going to shoot us. We told them that we are students, we just want to go home. And if one person gets shot here, that we will never take it.
This guy right here is holding a gun. These Africans have their hands up because he threatened to shoot them. Wow.
Like, we are thousands here. I don't think all of them can kill us. The police came in and drove with speed, parked in our front, brought our gun like the soldier, and told us that they're going to shoot. We told them we don't care. We have to pass. So we started pushing over. Before we know, all of us started shouting, yay! We broke the barricade and started running across towards the border. So some of them started beating some people with batons. Meanwhile, when we were trekking to the border, Ukrainians were helping us. They were giving us food and water on the road, which is very nice. The only people that discriminated against us were the officials, that's the law enforcement officers. Then after in the night, they started allowing the men because there are only few women left. So it was pretty easy for us to cross over, and at the Poland side, there was no discrimination. So we want to continue our education, and nobody wants to go back without completing their education.
Right. I don't blame.
So we also want the world to know that it is actually not good to be asking the world for help while committing war crime and discriminating against Africans.
That's what I'm saying. He said he wants the world to know it's not cool to be asking the world for help, but yet you discriminate against Africans. And he said they don't want to go back to school there. Why would you? I wouldn't. That's right.
Never made sense.
It doesn't make sense.
I was expecting people at war to be more compassionate. I wasn't expecting them to do such things.
Right. Wow. I don't think I want to watch any more videos like that. Thank God I have most of my voice back now. As you know, some of you know I was sick all last week. And I'm getting my strength back. Thank God for that. And so this right here, I'm glad, I hate it happened, but I'm glad it happened because people who are always in denial, racism is over and this, let me tell you, no one can give me the time and date racism ended. Racism is all over the world. All over the world, okay? It pops up in different ways, and you might call it a different name, but racism is still racism. And what these individuals went through, as well as the Indians, it's just wrong. It's just so categorically, unacceptably wrong. And he was right. He touched on the hypocritical nature. You're asking the whole world for assistance, but individuals who's been right there in your country, eating with you, enjoying life with you, going to school with you, now all of a sudden during a crisis, they show you who they are. There's an evangelist years ago. I was in church and he came to visit our church, and he said something that has stuck with me for a long time, for about 2 decades now. He said, crisis doesn't build character, it reveals character. That's Evangelist Dwight Thompson. He said that years ago. I never forgot it. And he's right. Crisis does not build character, it reveals character. And you see the character of some, because I'm not indicting the entire Ukrainian country, but you see some of these Ukrainians and Poles, their character was revealed. As a matter of fact, I did see another another video of this young lady, this African lady, was talking about how the car was surrounded by some crazy guy, and he's circling the car, and they're sitting in the car. They finally made it to the border, and he's giving them a hard time. And I wonder what happened to these African students who reached the Polish border. They were denied entry flat out, and they were forced to go back into Ukraine, believe it or not, to try to get to the Hungarian border, or the border of Hungary. It's I don't know what happened to them. If somebody knows what happened to them or what happened, please put it in the comments, because I've been praying for them. I hope they're safe. It's been bothering me. I hope they made it. I don't know their names. I'm sorry, I don't know their names. But this is a situation where no matter your ethnicity or nationality, or if you have a passport or not, you should be allowed to flee the violence. I can't imagine, years ago when they had the issue in Bosnia, people coming over, crossing away from Bosnia, people saying, well, you don't have a passport, so you got to go back into that war-torn country and let Milosevic kill you. I mean, that's just, I wish I hadn't seen that video. But anyway, you guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining in. And, war is a terrible thing. And people who are trying to escape should be allowed to escape. They should be given a chance to survive and build or rebuild their lives. That's my opinion. So anyway, guys, thank you for dropping in. I didn't know the video would be this long, but I'm glad you stuck with me. You guys have yourself a wonderful week, and we're going to pray for everybody involved in that region, for the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Africans, the who were discriminated against, the Indians who were discriminated against, everybody. No one will be denied prayer. Amen. So let's just pray for everybody. Good night, guys. God bless.